Okay, Marion, thank you so much for coming all this way. I'm so excited to meet you and hear a little bit about what motivates you. I know for me at least, there was kind of a moment that I felt early on, wow, like this is really for me. This is what I want to be doing. Was there a moment like that for you in snowboarding where you thought, okay, this is it?
I think it was during my teenager period. I was like, okay, I really need something to be motivated, to be awake every morning, to find a direction in my life. And I was at school, but it was not enough for me to be motivated about life. I don't know how to explain, but I felt something very beautiful inside of me when I was on the snow. And I was like, wow, this feeling is really beautiful. And I don't live this kind of feeling when I'm at school or in my daily life. And I was like, okay, I have to continue on this way. And yeah, I'm not a confident person, but to be on my board, I was like, okay, I can do it. I can reach this trick. I can reach this competition. I was full confident. But in normal life, not really. So I was like, okay, maybe I can explore more about this. Is it the same for you? What is the moment where you say, okay, I want to continue more about this sport?
It's kind of interesting to me. There's a mix of both. There's kind of the first moment where you discover that feeling of freedom and being out and exploring, and that happened quite young. And I knew I wanted to continue to ride. But I think when I entered a competitive environment, that's when I really thought, oh, there's this other part of me that doesn't just want to ride. Like I want to ride as well as I can, and I want to find out what that looks like and what that might be for me moving forward. I know in snowboarding, you obviously chose to not just ride for fun, to pursue it at the top level. What did that transition look like for you? And when did you kind of start to get a coach and get serious and say, yeah, I want to try not to just, be the best.
So it was during my first year on the Freeride World Tour. I got this invitation and I was super lucky to be introduced in this new environment because, when you are a snowboarder, you can be good in border cross, you can be good in slopestyle, you can be good in freeride. And it was the beginning of something for me to be in this sport and this universe in big mountains. And I started to get good results. I tried before to go in the Olympic Games with the slopestyle category, and it was a fail for me, but it was super nice. After this fail, I learned so much about myself, and I was like, what I want to do next. And this is how I get the motivation to explore more what is snowboarding and not just to stay in this zone about slopestyle. And it was the good choice, I think, because I started to get good results during competitions and really happy to explore these mountains, big mountains environments. And I learned so many things and I was really passionate about it. And I think naturally, when you have this passion, you can find a way to get good results and to get the motivation to be professional and to be with the good people around you, and I'm still enjoying this way,
That's really beautiful. And I love what you said about kind of that failure is what you describe it as. I think for most people, it looks like something quite amazing, even just trying to make it to the games or trying to pursue the sport on that level. But it seems like it led you to something that's a better fit for your personality and for your passions beyond just competition. Did it change the way you think about failure and success, this experience with slopestyle?
I think failures is about to find success in the end. Without to get this moment of your life, you don't know yourself correctly. Like for me, the last year it was really hard because I hurt myself, and it was the first time during winter without competitions, and it was really hard for my mind and to understand what's happening. But finally, I have so much lessons about this compared to the success about when you are the winner. And in the end, it's a beautiful experience, and it's a part of the way when you are an athlete. And yeah, I think this is the whole experience, success and fails, for sure. Yeah.
It's cool to hear you talk about that because I think as an athlete, you know, that's such a part of it. And I know in my career, and it sounds like for you as well, those hard moments, in the moment they're very hard, but they do force you to look inward, look at how you're doing things, look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you emerge so much stronger on the other side.
Yeah.
But I think we can transition and talk a little bit about success, which you have had plenty of in your career as well. I believe, was it 2017 when you won the Freeride World Tour for the first... I've looked you up. For the first time. Do you think in that moment, you know, that was kind of the first big breakout result for you.
Yeah.
Did you expect that, or was it kind of this magical surprise when that happened?
First year on the Freeride World Tour, I was like, okay, I want to do something huge in this sport. I want to make all of my energy in freeride. And I write something in my book to say, okay, I want to be 3 times world champion. And I built everything around this goal. And finally, I made 4 world title champions. And yeah, it was a surprise because I'm not a confident person. And yeah, it was reaching the dream that I got when I was a kid, and I was full of emotions. The first time I was, okay, I can do it 1 time, so I can do it 2 times, 3 times, or maybe 4 times. And my parents, my friends were super adorable with me and with a big support behind me. And I was really lucky to have all this team around me, because without them, it was not possible for sure. And I'm still living the dream with another kind of competitions with the natural selection. And in my sport, you can express yourself during competitions, but also with movies and stuff like this. I think it's the same for you. Like biking, you can explore different style of communication for sure. And yeah, I'm happy because I'm still in this happy zone and still in this exploration of my sport finally. Yeah.
You keep saying you're not a confident person, but I think when you talk about your sport, you have such strength and confidence in yourself. That is really something I admire. Yeah, something I admire.
This is my comfort zone.
Well, you did not obviously stop at 3 world titles. You won 4 so far. We'll keep the record books open for a while longer. But what do you think you attribute that consistency to? Because it's 2 different things, you know? I think it's one thing to dream and try to reach that top level, but it's a completely different challenge to stay there and deliver weekend after weekend. So do you think it's your training? Is it mental? What helps you stay at that level?
I think it's about to find your own balance. All the balance are different for everyone. And I found mine, I mean, with the people around me. And when you grow up, you know more about yourself. And I try to listen myself, what is the pleasure for me, what kind of day I need to manage when I'm tired, or if I have my period, or if I have too much stress. Or it's about to listen yourself and to be with the good person around you, I think. And it's also about patience for sure. And it's more that just to be a good athlete. I think it's really something from your guts. And this is why I think I won 4 world title champion. It's something really with my heart and my guts. And this is how I have my roots, my resources, and my energy. Yeah.
You have guts in the competition world, but you also certainly have them in the big mountain world. And I've seen a few of your films on some of those bigger mountain explorations, most recently DD, which I loved, by the way. It was a beautiful film.
Thank you so much.
How do you balance those 2 loves? You know, you love this adventure and this exploration side, but also the more high performance, kind of intense competition side. And is it challenging to balance those 2?
Yeah, it's not easy, especially last year for me was really intense because I tried to be good in competitions, good in exploration, and good about movies and stuff. But finally, you never stop to learn about yourself and what you can do and where you can push your limits. And for sure, last year I pushed a lot my limits. But finally, I know myself better. I know where I want to go. Especially in mountains, you have different style of practice. It's not just about freeriding.
Yeah.
You can go in high mountain for expedition, and this is a totally a new world. And this is not like in competitions. It's kind of safe because you have the guides and you have safety around you.
Yeah.
And in high mountains, you are just with your team alone in middle of nowhere, and you have to manage differently. You kind of ride, and this is really also super interesting. And I was really happy to live this experience and to know what I want to do in the future.
You're giving some hints of more expeditions maybe on the horizon. Is that an area that you want to focus on more, or are you still really motivated to get back to competition and maybe add more world titles to that list?
I have more goals, but in this new circuit, the natural selection that you know in Jackson Hole, I can imagine,
Yeah.
in America.
Yeah.
I really like this mix of freeriding and freestyle, and it's really nice to discover this new environment, new culture about snowboarding, and I really want to continue the adventure in this kind of competitions. And for sure, I like to also make expeditions, and yeah, I'm still working on it.
It seems like a perfect mix though of your skills because it's the big mountain, but it also probably really rewards a lot of the skills that you developed in freeride. I know as well that you have worked with Protect Our Winners. I wanted to kind of hear a little bit more about your advocacy for the environment, because it seems like that comes as a very natural extension of your passion about these big mountains, the expeditions and explorations that are, obviously exposing you to a lot of the challenges that we're facing as a world right now.
Yeah, it's really, I think this is it's really a hard topic as an athlete right now to speak about it, because I'm super sad to see all the ice and the snow melting all the time, and in the other parts it's really hard to be the light of protection for the environment because you're traveling around the world. You are in this economy of making communication about brands, and it's really hard because I really want to help the environment and the nature. I'm really a nature lover, you know. I'm really happy to be in the mountains. I really like to spend time with my friends, just looking the sunset, the sunrise, and having fun in the middle of the mountain. And for sure I'm sad, but I really try my best every day. I don't want to say, okay guys, I'm an example, but maybe I can be better every day. I try just my best, and that's all. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's similar for me. It's something that I think if you spend a lot of time outside, but also if you get to know places well, that it's hard to ignore. And I think, you know, for you, you live in the big mountains. You see every season how they change. You go climb and you see the same places again and again. It's the same for me on the bike. So, you know, riding by a lake 5 years apart might look quite different. And when you get to know things that well, it's really hard to ignore the changes. And I think that in some ways is hard to talk about because, as you say, there is this kind of imperfect advocacy where, I flew here, we're in Europe, you know, I spend a lot of time competing, I spend a lot of time promoting bikes and the outdoors and a lot of the consumer products that enable us to do that. But I also think that we're very passionate, and that passion means something, and it allows us to kind of use our platforms for good, which...
And for sports in the end.
in the end.
Yeah.
I'm really happy. I don't know about you, but when I have messages from little girls to say, oh, I really like what you do. Oh, it's possible to be a snowboarder like you. I'm like, oh, this is what I want to see. You know, it's a beautiful way to make a good communication about sport and how to be healthy and how to know better yourself. Finally, it's a really beautiful experience to be outside and to practice sport, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's hugely motivating
Yeah.
to know that you're a role model. And I'm sure there's so many young girls who like, oh, hopefully a little bit. But one thing I really love about the way that you communicate and the way that you structure projects, especially the DD film, is that you shine that light on other people and on causes like the environment that you care about. Is that something that you've kind of always done or wanted to do from the beginning, or do you think it's something that you've just kind of seen the opportunity to help give back over time?
No, I think I have this sensibility. Is it correct, sensibility? It's been like, since I'm a kid, I'm like this. I have this sensibility about the environment, about people. I don't want to say that I'm fragile, but I have this connection with everyone, and I think this is how I can also to be really passionate about my sport. This sensibility helped me to go further about what I love, and this is the same for everything. I have this sensibility about, when I see the mountains getting bad every year, I can be really sad. I can be very sad also to see refugees in my country when we have all the refugees from Africa. It's really horrible to see all the stories in the sea with the boats getting in the water. And I think it's a beautiful part of humanity to be like this. And when you have this light about to be an athlete and to be world champ, I think it's good to use it for good topics. And I try my best because it's taking so much energy when you are making commitment about this kind of thing. It's, when I have time, I try my best for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a really beautiful thing about you, and it comes through. This kind of softness and sensitivity is also, it seems, one of your greatest mental strengths and a source of power on the slopes.
Yeah.
Do you find that your sport is incredibly mental, and how do you prepare for the mental side of your sport?
I think even if you are getting a good physical preparation, everything is in your mental. So I really work on it with a coach. I really like this part of my sport, finally, because it's so interesting, because everything inside, you can't see anything, and it's a huge part of my sport, and you too. I think it's
a huge part,
super important to work on it, and especially when in my sport you have so much dangers. When you are at the top of the mountains, you might have to be really clean and really be ready about to drop a big line. So for sure, this part of the game is so important for me. Yeah.
How do you think about risk with those kind of big mountain experiences? I know that's something that in some ways you can probably limit, but in other ways it's a part of the sport.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I try to reduce the risk all the time with formations and trying to learn about people around me, like the guides and my mentors, and trying to be curious every day about what is mountains. And this is why also I practice climbing or paragliding, biking, to be in the connection with the nature all the year, to understand my environment. But I really like this beauty about to understand what is the nature around you, to get this connection. I'm not like a person trying to fight with the snow or the mountains. I'm more like how I can be your host, how I can be one with you. And I try to have this respect about mountain. That's all, and yeah, to be okay. Maybe today I have to say no because it's really dangerous. I don't have a good gut feeling.
Yeah.
So maybe it's better to be back home and yeah, just taking your time, stage by stage, and
Yeah, it's a hard skill though,
Yeah,
especially
it's,
on some of those big expeditions. It takes so much to get to that moment. It's hard to walk away.
and you don't have like a federation behind you to structure everything, so you have to learn by yourself about what is mountaineering. And yeah, it's pretty intense, but it's really beautiful to learn something new every day.
Is that a challenge that you really like, those
Yeah.
big expeditions and the
Yeah.
mountaineering?
Yeah, because I'm a curious person and I like the fact that I learned something.
Yeah.
I feel maybe, I don't know, maybe more intelligent, I don't know, more smart.
Half the
When
fun.
I'm back to my bed for sleeping, I'm like, oh, it's nice, I learned something today.
Yeah. I think that's a huge part of being an athlete and having longevity in the sport. And that's something you seem to do really well is, you know, you have your kind of core skills that you've built and you obviously have had a lot of success, but you also are always looking for new opportunities, which is very exciting.
Yeah, totally, I agree. Yeah.
So I think we're almost ready to wrap up here, but a few more questions. I know you talked about kind of your love of nature, your love of being outside that motivated you to get into the sport to begin with. But on an average day, when you wake up, what motivates you to get out and ride?
Just the art of movement. It's hard to describe why, but I think I'm an active person, and when my body is in the action, it makes me happy. And it's really hard to say what kind of sport I'm really passionate about it. For sure, snowboarding, but I like the fact about to be in movement. That's all, and to practice sport, and yeah, just the movement.
That's a very good answer.
Maybe.
Maybe we should go do some movement.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go.